about how you can first get started with Clay in our crawl section. Now, the first thing I do want to call out is that Clay has phenomenal resources for you to get started in Clay University over here. So if you were to just click on this and go to Clay University, they've done an amazing job of giving you an introduction to Clay. So I'm not going to cover as much of the basics as you might see on Clay University because they've already created such great content here. I'm going to talk about the main starting things that you need in Clay in order to get started. So the first piece of misinformation about Clay is that it's hard to use. So the reason I believe that's not true is it's not that Clay is difficult to use. It's that all of the integrations are difficult to use. So if you think about it, with Clay, there's only 4 things that you can do. There's only 4. You can import data. You can enrich that data. You can use AI to get more data or to synthesize or do something with that data. And then the 4th thing is you can send that data someplace else. So you can send it to your CRM. You can send it to Instantly. You can send it to Smartly. You can send it to a Google Sheet, whatever you'd like to do. There's only 4 things that you can do. And once you master those things, you're going to get through the crawl section of learning Clay, right? And so why is Clay more complicated than that? Well, it's because they have over 100 integrations. And the complicated part is knowing which integration to use where. So a lot of people come to the Clay team and they say, hey, Zapier is so much easier to use. Why can't you guys be more like Zapier? The problem with that is that Zapier, when you go to Zapier, you are saying to yourself, hey, I have a list in HubSpot. I want to get that list in HubSpot to Google Sheets. So you go to Zapier and you type it in and you say, okay, I want the HubSpot thing. I'm starting with HubSpot. And then it prompts you to how you're going to find your data in HubSpot, what list it's going to be, and all those things. And then you're going to push it to Google Sheets and it's going to ask you which sheet, and it's all those things. The complicated part is the integrations and what those integrations do. We have a whole other video on the top integrations that we use and what we use them for. I'm not going to go into that right now. We're going to stay focused, though, that if you master these 4 things, you're going to catch up to 95% of people who are using Clay at this point. And so the way we import data is we have a lot of uses for importing data. We can start with a blank table. We can find people or we can find companies using their internal people and company data set. And then we can import things from our CRM, and then we can import a CSV. I most often import CSVs, but we can also start with building a list of people just from their data. And so if we just want to build something really quick, we could just look for Vice President of Sales, and I want them to be in New Jersey. Great. And then I can hit preview people, and we're going to be generating our first list. And so actually our limit is set really well. Okay, 2,700 people. Great. So we've generated our first list. You can also use company attributes on top of this. You could look for how big the company is. You could look for the industry. You can even use a list of companies that you want to search for. You can, let's see, what else is there to go over here? Search their bio for keywords, how long they've been in the company. There's a lot of things that you're able to search through. So once we hit import here, we can import as a new table, and then we get all of these options of what we can do, but we're going to get into that later. So now, whether or not you're importing a CSV or you're using their data or it's coming from your CRM, the first thing you're doing is importing data. And I hope nobody would disagree with me that that was difficult to be able to do, because I really do think that when people say Clay is too complicated, they're just talking that the integrations are too complicated, which I agree. There's a lot of integrations, but that's not Clay's fault. That's Clay's superpower, and we just need to learn that. And so now we found these people. We have their LinkedIn companies. We have their company domains. We have their names. We have their LinkedIn profile URLs, all the information that we need. The most common thing that I get asked for after this is, okay, I have this list of people. How do I find their email address? Well, we need to enrich their data. We need to transform something in front of us into the email address. And so the way we do that is we're going to add an enrichment. Personally, we're going to use Prospeo for right now. And we're just going to click Find Work Email. And just like when you're setting up a Google Sheet and you're using a function, or you're using a function in Excel, you need to say, okay, if I want to sum this, I need this column and this column to be the inputs for my sum. For finding somebody's email address, we need their full name and we need a company domain in order to find the email address, right? And so then we're going to jump in here. And then we run our integration. And now we've done our second thing, which of course nobody's email is being found right now. But now we've done our second thing where now we add an integration into our workflow. Then you can see the results of those integrations. And then you can add columns to your table so that you can see the data. Because sometimes there will be a lot of data in here that you don't often need everything from. And Clay doesn't just automatically put the columns there for you. So if you just click in, you'll see all of the data that this integration got you. So now that's the second thing that you can do inside of Clay. The third thing that you need to be able to do is being able to use AI to find other research on companies, which that's going to get a little bit complicated. But the other thing actually that I skipped over with using integrations is the other thing you want to know about using an integration, the only other thing you need to know about using integrations is you can conditionally run columns if something is true. So if we only wanted to target people because they were in Ridgewood, New Jersey, we could use the AI formula generator and we could say only run if location contains Ridgewood. And we would generate our formula here. And then we would only run it if they were in Ridgewood. And so see how we get run condition not met, and we're only targeting people who were in Ridgewood. So then that's how a conditional formula works. And then you could also use a formula as a column where you can manipulate data a lot more. So what we could do here is we could say, if there was no full name here, sometimes integrations need the full name. So we can just say concatenate first name and then we want that space because it's going to be concatenating these things, and last name, right? And then we can pick those things, hit generate formula, and then we can use formulas to get the full name of these people. We use formulas for other things as well too, but for just this, that's generally what we're using formulas for. So you're importing data, you're adding an integration. Inside of those integrations, you can use conditional formulas, and then you can also add formulas as your own kind of like a little enrichment integration over here as well too. And that's how we can, generally knock off the two first things. Then for using AI, the only reason I said it's complicated is because it always depends on what you want to do with the AI. So one thing that we could do with the AI here is we could say, okay, so there's two ways you can use AI in Clay. You do research right now where an agent is going to go out into the internet and find data, or you could take the data inside of your table and you could generate data, or you could generate text from that. And so basically we're going to use 4.0 mini because it's the cheapest one. And we are going to say, okay, hey, this is, Trenton, New Jersey. I want to know what zip code these are all from. So I'll just say, tell me what zip code the locations are from. And then I'm just typing / to be able to insert the column. This is the location, / and we're just gonna put location. Oh, only output the zip code and nothing else. Then we can go to the examples and we can give an example. And I don't know any of these zip codes. I'm from New Jersey, but I don't know any of these zip codes. I'm trying to see if I know any of them. No, so we're just going to change one. Oh, actually, no, I'm just going to create my own example. So we'll add examples, and then we'll create our own example. And then I'll say their location is Rutherford, New Jersey. And then my expected response is going to be 07070, just so that we're teaching AI that I only want that zip code there. And then we can run it. And now we can get all of the zip codes. But again, remember what we were talking about conditional formulas. So I'm technically paying 0.00001 anytime I'm running this integration. But if I don't have an email address for this person, why would I want to do that? So what we could do is we could say only run if email is not empty. Now we can generate that formula. We can say it's correct. And now we will only run this integration only if we have an email address, and then we can figure out what zip code they're from. Another simple use case of using AI. And if it feels like I'm kind of bulldozing through a lot of these things, I really want this video to be more of a video to say, hey, Clay is easier than you think. There's only 4 things you can do. Clay University has all of the beginner information about this stuff, and you should stay focused on when you're first learning Clay, go through Clay University. I'm not even really going to cover that stuff because it's so basic and they've done such a great job creating that content. Go check out Clay University for sure. But then finally, if you want to send your data, like I said, the 4th thing, so we can import data, we can use enrichments. Underneath enrichments, we have formulas as well too. And then we could use AI. Then if you want to send your data to another place, then we can just put in smart lead and we can say add lead to campaign, or whatever integration you want to use. You can send that data to another campaign, and we can map everything the same way you map something in a Google Sheet and you're entering it in as a formula. You're putting it into the integration panel over here, and then you'd be able to send the data here. And I just need to pick a campaign ID. That's why it says required inputs are missing. But so again, the real thing that I want you to get out of this video is that Clay is easier than you think. There's only 4 things you need to be able to do. And once you have those 4 things down, you mainly need to work on increasing your skill in using AI and prompting AI, and then what integrations carry what data and what do you need, and working backwards from that, which I have another video if you search on my channel just for overview of integrations. I have that video as well too of all the integrations and what we use them for. Check out Clay University for this basic content because it's really, really great. But I would say this is how you first get started in Clay. Our next video, we're going to be going over how you use Clay to do all of the little tasks that every campaign needs you to be able to do, and you would otherwise be using multiple softwares and moving CSVs everywhere. And that's going to be the next video.